give you a little bit of a background here. Obviously, many of you know about Tara Reade. She had accusations against Joe Biden for sexual assault. Since then, Tara Reade has tried very hard to explain her story and to get some type of accountability for Joe Biden. Since her story has come out, Tara Reade has been harassed, she's been threatened, and she is now still not permitted to return to the United States. And I say that meaning that she is in Russia. She went to Russia to promote different versions of her book. So her book was being translated into different languages. She went there to do that. She was then contacted by Representative Matt Gaetz, who informed her that if she were to return back to the United States, she would most likely be detained, that they would arrest her. So Tara Reade has been in Russia all this time. It is the holidays. It's not like Tara Reade's family is in Russia. Her family is still here in the United States. So she can't even come back here and spend time with her family. But she's still fighting. And now she is actually going after the FBI. Listen to this one. This is a big story. Biden accuser Tara Reade goes after the FBI for targeting Americans. This story broke on the 21st. Tara actually sent this to me herself. Tara Reade, who claims she was sexually assaulted by President Joe Biden in 1993 and recently moved to Russia, has filed a formal complaint with the U.S. Department of Justice Inspector General, so with the DOJ. Reade served as a Biden aide when he was a U.S. Senator representing Delaware, drawing headlines during his campaign in April 2020 when she filed a criminal complaint with the Washington Metropolitan Police Department, accusing him of pushing her against the wall. We won't go too deep into that because of YouTube, but he assaulted her. The accusations were strongly denied by Biden and Reade became fearful for her safety, making a plea in May for Russian President Vladimir Putin to grant her citizenship following her move from the U.S. to Moscow. Let me correct something here because they're not telling the story accurately. She didn't move to Russia. She went to Russia to promote another version of her book. So her book was being translated into different languages. That's why she was there. While she was there, Matt Gaetz contacted her and told her that she should not come back to the U.S. because she would be arrested because of the fact that she went to Russia, basically. So while she was there, she spoke out against what happened to her in Russia. It was a conference. There was a conference that she attended and they allowed her to speak. So she spoke her piece there. It's not like she just woke up one day and said, I am going to move to Russia. That's how she ended up there. And she is still kept there, basically, because if she does return to the U.S., there is that threat to detain her. So I just want to make that clear. They're not accurate in this article. In my opinion, the U.S. has lost its democracy, says Reade, who before working for Biden served as an intern for then Representative Leon Panetta. I'm not being melodramatic, but it's come out in different ways. It's bigger than me. I frankly don't know if I'll get any justice in my own case, but I'm hoping it will help others. I think the only way I can know is by doing it and pushing it. So this was the conference here that I was talking about where Tara Reade spoke out in Russia. The new civil rights complaint, which is not a lawsuit, was filed on Wednesday and requests an investigation into FBI practices that resulted in Reade, described within as a whistleblower victim of sexual assault with no criminal background or monetary motivation, becoming the target of a federal grand jury investigation and California criminal investigation, even after she requested FBI protection from death threats. And we'll get into some of the threats that have happened to her. We're going to go through a video of that in just a second, so you'll understand just everything that she's been through, because it wasn't just her. People have actually come after members of her own family as well. Her First and Fourth Amendment rights were violated, it claims. It also seeks an investigation of the extent of the FBI surveillance, including search and seizure activities such as applications and issuances of subpoenas and warrants targeting Reade and her social media, communications, and financial accounts, in addition to disclosure and copies of all records and information associated with her surveillance under the First Amendment rights. All FBI records related to Reade are also requested to be expunged. Newsweek reached out to the IG via email for comment. Reade, who left her life, including family and pets, in the U.S. about 7 months ago, said her complaint is part of what she views as a broader U.S. trend of legal and political weaponization, citing the recent Colorado Supreme Court ruling barring Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump from being on the state's ballot, to people at the January 6th Capitol riot being targeted with harsh sentencing guidelines. Around the time she left for Russia, she had been in contact with House Republicans, including Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene, about publicly testifying in front of the House Subcommittee on Federal Weaponization. That never came to fruition. Let me pause here. The reason why that never came to fruition, because again, she was told not to return to the United States because she would be arrested. Just want to add that piece there. It goes on to say, she said she believes Gaetz tried his best and she wonders whether having a new House Speaker, Mike Johnson, may improve her ability to testify either remotely or in person if provided the right security, as she still is fearful for her safety. London-based attorney Jonathan Levi, who has legally represented Reade since the spring, told Newsweek via phone on Wednesday that he is going through all proper legal channels and that it is up to the IG to investigate or not. If not, the next step would be a tort claim as a precursor to a lawsuit. Okay, now let's get in the video here from Redacted. And someone actually sent this to me. Thank you for sending this, because Tara Reade was on Redacted. It appears some of you watched this show. I wasn't familiar with it for quite some time, but I know when I looked at my YouTube analytics information, when it tells you who your viewers watch, it appears a lot of you watched this show, Redacted. Like, this show was ranked up within the top 5 of what my viewers watch. So someone sent me this video and I've been checking out some of their other content as well. So check them out. Their big thing is exposing corruption. So Tara Reade was there to talk about why she is suing the FBI. And this is very scary, you guys, because this goes to show you once again that when you basically come after someone who's in a position of power, it goes to show you what the federal government will do to you to silence you. Let's go ahead and bring in this clip here.
Tara Reade joins us today. She is the woman whose life has been shattered by people who want to protect President Joe Biden because she dared to report sexual assault when this happened to her when she was a member of his staff in the 1990s. She is suing the FBI to demand an investigation into the weaponization of the Department of Justice. This lawsuit just was released, or it's actually a claim with an intent for a lawsuit, was released just this week, and she joins us to talk about it. Happy holidays. Thank you so much for coming back on Redacted.
Well, first, thank you so much for having me again. It's wonderful to see you and Clayton, and Merry Christmas to your whole team. So, and Happy New Year. Well, you know, I'm safe here in Russia, in Moscow, Russia. I did offer to testify in Congress against Joe Biden remotely, and have not heard back about that possibility because they're kind of reorganizing how they were doing the hearings. And then, you know, they had a change of speaker. So it wasn't just about my leaving for Russia. There was not a lot happening with really investigating the Biden family until just recently again. And my attorneys approached me and said, look, there were several statutes in several states that they violated your privacy. And this is happening to other people. This is happening to other, you know, American citizens where they're being illegally surveillanced by a weaponized DOJ, FBI. So this is the first step. This complaint, it's a complaint filed with the Inspector General in the DOJ about the FBI to look at their tactics and what they were doing to me. And I think it's important because, you know, I'm just a regular American citizen, and this happened to me. It can happen to anyone. And it is happening to anyone. It's happening to Trump supporters. It's happening to, there's a group, you know, the Black Socialist Movement, their movement. So it's happening on the left. It's happening on the right. It's all over the place. And we need to look at how politicized the intelligence community has become and how much freedom they have to surveil. And I mean by surveillance, I don't mean, you know, like stuff you see in the movies. I mean, like they pull your bank accounts, they look at every transaction, they pull your social media, your private conversations with family, with people, FaceTime, Twitter, or X as it's called now, Gmail, everything. And they
Let me pause here for just a second because I want to add something here. I said this before in my show a while back, but I'll continue to say this. None of your accounts are private. None of your social media accounts are actually private. You may have a private setting on Facebook or Twitter or whatever social media account you're using, but the federal government can still access that information if they need to. This is why I always tell people, be careful about what you post on social media, because the thing is, like, you know, but regardless, they shouldn't be able to do that without your permission. And this is what happened to Tara Reade. And it also happened to the Uhuru movement, right? So Amalia Yeshitela was on the show and talked about this as well. They can do this to anyone. Anyone. Edward Snowden tried to warn us of this, right? You see what they tried to do to him. That's why that story was so significant. But none of your information is private. Your bank account isn't even private. They can access that information if they need to either. So just keep that in mind. One tidbit I will give to everyone, because this is the way they've been able to get some people in the past, even some celebrities that didn't technically follow the status quo when it came to the narrative. Always do your taxes. Always do your taxes. One of the ways the government, particularly like the FBI, the DOJ, et cetera, and the IRS, one of the ways they've been able to take down more radical voices in the past is financially. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to check to see, have they filed their taxes? Are they paying their taxes?
Do this through what's the secret court called FISA. And so my attorney speculated by doing some research about my case that I wasn't just being surveilled. It wasn't just like an operation of Biden's campaign. This was much bigger. This was actually a weaponized FBI operation that went all the way up to the NSA eventually. And it was done to specifically suppress my allegations against Joe Biden when he sexually assaulted me in 1993 when I was a staffer. Now, he buried the report. It's sealed in the University of Delaware. And so the next step during the campaign, when I came forward, along with 7 other women, and there are other women, by the way, who have not come forward, who are petrified to, he has tried to do everything he could, his campaign, the people working with him closely, to silence it, just like they did the Hunter Biden laptop. So the more research my attorneys did, the more they realized, because they had done other human rights cases, the more they realized, okay, this is big. This is like an operation. And so this is the first step. There's going to be another step that's taken after New Year, and we'll, of course, let you know what that step is to further try to get some answers from the FBI. So we're asking for, you know, information about my files. How do they surveil me? Why do they surveil me? Why is there a sealed case, criminal case against me with a grand jury impaneled? And why was I warned by intelligence community members that were whistleblowers and by a sitting US congressman that my life was in danger and I had to stay in Russia? It's ridiculous. It's unprecedented. It needs to stop. And
well, in your book, you do a really nice job of detailing just how scary it's been for you since you reported this abuse in 1993. And it's gone through fits and spurts where you try to live your life and then it creeps up. You and your daughter don't know who's watching you, who's reporting what things, who's digging into your privacy. There's just scenes of you sitting in the kitchen and not being sure if you're being watched or not. That must be terrifying. Now, since last year, or this year rather, you have sought asylum in Russia. Has that helped give you quality of life?
Actually, yes. And the Russian Federation, I have a lot of gratitude to RT, who hired me to do more substantive work and writing. I'm working on a book as well with a publishing company. And then, the safety issue has been, I have a nice place to stay. I don't feel surveilled. Of course, I'm still surveilled by the American intelligence community, and that still happens. When I first came here, I went out to a pub and met some local expats, Irish and British. And of course, in the British intelligencer, they talked about how I was enjoying my night of freedom in Moscow with a bunch of Irishmen and British men. And it made me sound kind of wild. And it's just funny. It's ludicrous at this point. But basically, it's very safe here. Moscow is an extremely safe city anyway. And so that's been good. However, back in the States, there's still shenanigans happening. And my horse was almost kidnapped about a month into me being here in Russia. And that was really traumatizing. I mean, a trailer came onto the property and they tried to load him, and the owner of the stable stopped them. So the person was a little deranged and was saying she was doing it for Joe Biden. And I don't know why Joe Biden would want my horse. So anyway, he's safe. And I was able to get local law enforcement, and the local ranch, of course, protected my horse, and he's fine. But things like that. My daughters, right before we came here, she has a security system. It was hacked. Her computers were all hacked. So things like that were all happening. And
so this is another point that I wanted to bring up. Again, they weren't just coming after Tara Reade. They were coming after family members of Tara Reade. Like, they were coming after her daughter, hacking into her daughter's security system. This is very dangerous. Obviously, you would not feel safe if that were happening to you. But again, this is their way of trying to intimidate Tara Reade, trying to make her go away. And they've done this to other people before, too. I mean, same thing. Edward Snowden can't come back to this country. Can't come back to this country. And even if the United States government said, OK, we're going to allow you to return to the country, Mr. Snowden, I don't think it would be safe for Edward Snowden to return. So the security state that we have in this country has become incredibly dangerous. Now, I give a shout out to technology. I like the fact that we're able to access things a lot quicker than we used to, like when I was growing up. So I'm not hating on technology. But what I will say is that we also have to acknowledge the cons that come along with it. If you're on Google and you have a Google account, Google knows what you're doing too. Every time you type something into a search bar on Google, you think they don't know what you're looking for? Don't you think it's strange? Like, if you mention something and you just happen to have your phone nearby you and you pick up your phone, all of a sudden you see an ad for an item that you were just talking about. They're looking at you right now. So the security state in this country has become ridiculous. And it's very scary that Tara Reade still till this day cannot get some type of closure around this case. They have been targeting her more than they have been targeting Joe Biden, who is the accused. They've been coming after the victim.
That has ceased pretty much. Now that I've filed this, hopefully that won't start up again. But, I feel safe filing this from here. I don't have to be there in the States to do it. And I'm the only whistleblower that can do something like this, can make this move and really call out the FBI. And when they reveal these files, and I don't care what they reveal about me, my point is they shouldn't be surveillancing me. What we need to find out is why they were doing this to US citizens and what other operations are, in the crosshairs of it.
Well, just this week, we reported how the journalists and lawyers that met with Julian Assange in the embassy had been surveyed, and a judge is allowing their case against the CIA to go forward, which is unusual because most people are not successful at challenging how they are surveyed by the government. So does this case give you hope that perhaps you will be successful in challenging how your privacy has been infringed upon?
Well, that's a really good, thing that you brought that up. Julian Assange has suffered so much, and he also had a murder plot against him by Pompeo, and that was revealed. And there's been no consequences for Pompeo for actually.
Well, more specifically, not really about Assange.
Right.
It's about the American citizens who met with him, and their privacy was infringed upon. So you can see how this parallel would relate to you. The government has to answer for how and why they have been targeting you.
Exactly. And there's not only a right to privacy in federal law and in the constitutional right of privacy, but also there's state statutes that are very specific about the kinds of privacy that you have. And I lived in California and Washington and Oregon, as you know, so those have very high standards for privacy, and those were violated. So you're right, there is a very strong connection there between that case and my case. And again, this will reveal sort of the weaponization politically of the DOJ by the Biden regime. And when I talk about that weaponization, I'm not, it goes deep. It's bureaucrats that are working that kind of stay on. So it's like the former Obama staff that stayed on for Biden.
Yep.
Right. So we need to reveal these folks that are, bad actors. Now, on the downside of this, what a law that just passed is, of course, the revamping of the FISA, and unfortunately that got bipartisan support, and that's opening up more surveillance on U.S. citizens. And Natalie, I don't know if you've heard this argument, but people will say, "Oh, well, I don't care if I'm surveilled; I have nothing to hide." No, that's not the point. If you come in contact with the government in a way that they don't like, they will use whatever they have and twist it to their advantage.
Yes, they will. And shout out to Tara for making that statement that, when people say I don't have anything to hide, so what? That doesn't give them the right to spy on you. It's just a reality. Now, you can watch that full interview on Redacted. She's suing the FBI for ruining her life, and she has receipts. Again, that's Redacted News. So check out the full interview there. And I want to take you back to the last time when Tara Reade was on this show. This was 4 months ago. I want you to hear something that she said, what they were doing to her family.
Because no one should be treated like this, Sabby. I shouldn't have to be fleeing to another country for safety.
Right.
I shouldn't have to be afraid for my daughter, for my family. And, 3 weeks ago, someone tried to kidnap my horse and then tried to fundraise, saying they were saving Charm because I abandoned him and went to Russia. And I was a traitor to America, literally. And they had a trailer at that ranch and almost took my horse. And luckily, law enforcement intervened and the ranch owner intervened and my horse is safe. And then some trolls put my daughter's work online, doxed her address, her photo, and went after her. And, it's just continued. And these were Democratic troll farms that have been hounding me since 2019.
Democratic troll farms that have been after her since 2019. So you see, they doxed her daughter. By the way, for those who are not aware, after Tara Reade actually came forward about Joe Biden, Tara Reade also had difficulty finding a job. That's how powerful these people were. They were actually making it so that other companies would not hire her. They smeared her to no end, at least mainstream media did, smeared her to no end, so that they made it so that she would not even be employable in this country. It's not right. It doesn't matter. Whatever you believe, whatever your political ideology is, we should have a right to privacy in this country. I believe that should be one of our American rights. And the government and the NSA and the CIA and all these other different alphabet letter agencies should not be able to just spy on us and use it at their disposal. And that is what has been happening to Tara Reade. So she is suing the FBI. I give her kudos for that. I do sincerely hope that Tara Reade gets to have some type of accountability for this situation, or at least that Joe Biden has some type of accountability for this, because this has gone on for too long. And the thing is, it's not just Tara Reade. There were other accusers that came forward along with Tara Reade. I think that they've been pushed into silence. Gotta push back on these alphabet letter agencies. Like, this is crazy. This is insane. It is the holidays, and Tara Reade is not able to spend it with her family because they'll arrest her if she comes back here. She's an American citizen. Shout out to Raphael, says, Merry Christmas, Madam S. We love you. Raphael's been a member for 1 month. Thank you so much, Raphael. Merry Christmas to you too. Rupert says the FBI arresting victims is a common occurrence. Seeking Freedom, Redacted is also anti-Zionist. Yes, they are. They are. I've noticed that. De Gracia, I love Redacted. Pincus says, holy hell, Sabby Sabs, you're scaring the out of me on Christmas Eve. You're just like Santa Claus. Oh yeah, I pop up sometimes. Ho, ho, ho. Darren, hope you and your family have a good Christmas, Sabby. Do you have any hopes for grassroots action and any ballot initiatives in 2024? Yes. I think I'm going to start covering the 2024 ballot initiatives in January. There are a lot of things coming up this year. So yes. And in reference to grassroots action, absolutely, because we see what's happening on the ground in reference to the Palestinian protests. Also, the labor movement has now merged with the Palestinian protest as well. The UAW has joined on. Amazon workers have joined on. So yes, I do think that I have hope for that. And Travers says, shit, Sabby watches Redacted too. I do now. Yeah. So someone sent me that video and said, you might want to check them out and yada, yada. And it was interesting because Tara Reade had actually just sent me the information that he was going after the FBI. And so I was watching that interview with Tara Reade, and then I clicked on other videos on their channel, and I was like, oh, okay, these guys are pretty based. And yes, they are anti-Zionist. Thank you so much.